Hey folks, welcome back to Quality Automation Adda. In this video, I'm going to show you how to perform browser automation directly from your terminal or PowerShell using Gemini CLI integrated with Vibium MCP server. If you already seen my Claude Code with Vibium MCP server video, this will feel very familiar. But there is a big difference with Gemini CLI. Here, we can perform browser automation using Vibium MCP server, and this setup is cheaper and extremely practical for learning and proof of concepts. Unlike Claude Code, you don't need to buy subscription or APIs to access. All you need is Google or Gmail account, and you can log into Gemini, which is free tier. You can try 60 requests per minute and up to 1000 requests per day. So with Gemini, all of us can easily perform browser automation POCs with zero cost. So let's see how Gemini CLI works with Vibium. Let me quickly open VS Code and show you how we manually write JavaScript code to launch browser. Go to Quality Adda website. This is the test website. You can try and click on login and enter username as test and password as test to log in using Vibium and JavaScript client. You can watch my another video where I explained how to write automation code manually using Vibium and JavaScript code. Now with Vibium MCP server and Gemini CLI, we will provide plain natural instructions to automate the browser. Just like you are asking a robot, launch browser and go to Quality Adda website and perform login using valid username and password. Let's see how to implement this. Trust me, this is super easy and with zero setup and no cost. All we need is Node.js installation on your system and at least 20 plus version. And also you can use your IDE terminal or simple system command prompt or terminal. I will show you both the way in this video. As automation engineers, we already live in the terminal. Either we use Git, Maven, npm, Docker or Jenkins using terminal or command prompt or even PowerShell. Gemini CLI or command line interface brings artificial intelligence into your terminal. There is no need to switch between multiple applications or learn entirely new UI interfaces. Before we proceed to Vibium, there is one essential concept we must understand: MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol. Let me explain this using a simple term or analogy. Consider the human body. Gemini functions as the brain. It processes information, makes decisions, and determines what action needs to be taken. Vibium functions as the hand and eyes. Here, it performs the actual physical operations and observes the results. Here, MCP is the nervous system, the communication channel that connects to the brain to the hands. So, when we give an instruction, Gemini analyzes and decides the appropriate actions. Perhaps we need to click this button. However, Gemini alone cannot execute browser operations. This is where Vibium comes in. Behind the scene, Vibium actually opens the browser, performs the click, enters the text, captures the screenshots. Here, MCP serves as the standard communication protocol between these two components. Now, let me walk you through the system architecture, understanding what happens behind the scene when we execute a command. Please observe this diagram carefully. Gemini CLI, it is in your terminal. It connects to Vibium server through Vibium MCP protocol, and Vibium MCP server is actually open the browser. Here we are using Chrome for testing. When I type a prompt, Gemini decide what to do and Vibium executes it in the browser. Here, first you enter a prompt in the terminal. For example, open Quality Adda website. This is the website, and capture a screenshot. Gemini CLI processes this input and understands the intended action. Gemini determines the required step. Behind the scene, I need to launch a browser, navigate to the URL and capture the screenshot. Gemini invokes Vibium through the MCP protocol. Vibium executes these actions in the actual Chrome browser instance. The results are returned to the terminal. This entire process completes within a matter of seconds. You provide instructions in natural language and the browser performs the corresponding actions. Now I will guide you through the setup process step by step. Please follow along with me and pause the video if necessary. First step, we need to install Gemini CLI. First, let me go to official Vibium GitHub repository. Here, you can see the Vibium architecture. Now, look for the documentation related to Gemini CLI and click on this link. The Vibium team has clearly documented all the prerequisite steps required to get started with Vibium and Gemini CLI. If you go to this link, you can see the Gemini CLI related information. To install Gemini CLI, you need Node.js installed on your system with a version at least 20 or above. You can install Gemini CLI using either npx command or npm command, which installs Gemini CLI globally. I will install it using npm, so copy this command. This allows you to access Gemini from your IDE terminal, command prompt or PowerShell. Let me open the command prompt in an empty folder so you can clearly understand that no other setup is required to perform codeless browser automation using Vibium and Gemini CLI. Copy the command, paste it into your terminal and execute it. npm install -g @google/Gemini-CLI. This command installs Gemini CLI globally on your system. The installation may take a couple of minutes. Note that this is one-time activity. Please ensure that Node.js is installed on your system before this step. If not, go to the official Node.js website and install the latest version for your operating system. The second step is authentication. We need to log into Gemini. You can refer to the Gemini CLI GitHub repository. It clearly mentions that you can simply use Gemini command to log into your Google account and follows browser-based authentication flow. Simply type Gemini, press enter. On the first execution, the system will prompt you to authenticate using your Google account. Follow the browser prompt, complete the authentication, and that's it. There is no API key configuration, no billing setup, and no credit card information required. Your Google account credentials are sufficient. After successful authentication, you get access to Gemini Code Assist, Claude Code, Gemini CLI. For this demo, we will use Gemini CLI. For the first time setup, asking for you to restart the Gemini CLI. For now, let me close this terminal. We have successfully installed Gemini CLI using Google account. Remember, you need Node.js at least 20 plus version. Next, we need the Vibium MCP server. To do that, run the command. You can go to any folder and open command prompt or a terminal. If you want to see where Gemini CLI is installed, go to your user directory. You will notice a dot where authentication credentials are stored securely. Now execute this command. Gemini MCP add Vibium npx Vibium. This command registers Vibium as an MCP tool with Gemini, enabling browser automation capabilities. After running this command, you will see the .gemini folder updated in the settings.json file. You can also add this configuration manually by creating a settings.json file with the required JSON content. Now verify the installation using Gemini MCP list. You should see Vibium listed in the output. If it appears, your setup is complete. Since this feature was recently released, some of you may face issues. Make sure you are using stable Node.js version. I'm using Node.js 20 on my Windows. In my case, I am seeing Vibium SDDIO disconnected. But this appears to be a known bug. I'm still able to access Vibium MCP through Gemini CLI. Let me log into Gemini again. Now observe carefully. You can see one MCP server, which is Vibium, configured in settings.json file. It is currently pointing to Gemini 2.5 model, likely because this is free account. Open the browser and navigate to the Quality Adda website. Here, you need to provide the actual URL. Let me quickly explain the Quality Adda application. It's an employee management system. You can log in using username as test, password as test. Once logged in, you can add employees, add departments, and view the complete dashboard. Now, I will provide the Quality Adda website URL and ask Gemini to take a screenshot of the home page. Press enter. Gemini now starts processing the request. Remember, Gemini is the brain. It understands and plans the task. Vibium MCP server performs the actual browser actions. You can do the same from your IDE terminal as well. If the requirement is to open a browser, Vibium uses the browser launch tool. That's exactly what you see happening here. For navigation, it uses browser navigate. Other available tools include browser click, browser type, browser screenshot, browser find, and browser quit. Since this is an agentic process, Gemini will ask for a permission before executing each action. You can choose allow once, allow for the entire session, allow all tools permanently, or decline the action. For this demo, I will choose allow once. So Gemini asks permission for every action. Now you can see the browser opening in headless mode. Headless equals to true. It captures a screenshot and then asks permissions to close the browser. I will allow that as well. The screenshot is saved in my user directory under the picture folder. You see this image captured. Now let's open a real browser, meaning headless equals to false. I will prompt Gemini, open the real browser and navigate to the Quality Adda website. Gemini understands this and opens a physical Chrome for testing browser. It asks permission to navigate to the URL. I will allow it. Now, my next instruction is click on the login button in the header. Gemini starts thinking again. It tries to identify the element using browser ID. It assumes it found the correct locator and asks permission to click, but it identified the wrong element. So click fails. This website is intentionally designed to make element identification difficult for AI tools. Let me show you how to provide correct locator. I will inspect the web element manually. There are two login links. So I will write the correct CSS selector. Remember, Vibium supports only CSS selector, not XPath. I will now instruct Gemini to use the CSS selector I provide. Now you can see it clicks the login button successfully. Next, I will ask Gemini to log in using username as test, password as test, and click on the Enter Engineering Lab button. Again, Gemini tries to identify the username and password fields. As I mentioned earlier, the site is designed to prevent easy AI-based locator identification. I will manually identify the locators. Username as input, type equals to text. Similarly, for password, input, type equals to password. Gemini could eventually find them through trial and error, but that would consume my Gemini quota. So I will stop it and provide clear instructions. Now you can see Gemini correctly enters the username and password. Next, it clicks the login button. The locator is simple, a button with type equals to submit, and Gemini predicts it correctly and clicks succeeds. So far we have seen how to launch a browser, how to navigate to the URL, how to find web elements, how to click buttons, how to enter text, and finally how to close the browser. All of this directly from the terminal without writing any automation code. This is the beauty of Gemini CLI and Vibium MCP server. This is simple, powerful, and very practical for automation engineers. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to Quality Automation Adda. Thank you.